I became a millionaire in less than 11 months because I went all in my business and I thought everybody was actually doing that. But when I discovered that they weren't, I knew that I had cracked some kind of code and that was helping me quantum leap there even faster. Throughout my programs, I have a pattern of helping women have their highest cash months in their businesses. These consist of major lessons that I feel like anybody can start embodying right now if they desire to get to that next level of riches. This channel is here to help you shift your relationship with money so that you can enjoy more wealth and riches in your life. So go ahead and hit the like, subscribe, and the bell icon so that you can be notified when I'm dropping a new video. Number 1, nothing will work unless you do. One of the biggest qualifiers for someone coming to work with me is that they don't say nothing's ever worked before. Because that makes me think that they haven't done their work if nothing's ever worked before. Because it feels like they're making excuses for why maybe they haven't gone deep enough into the work that they should be doing. And if something previously didn't work, then what's going on with the person, right? So many times people can have the tools, but they don't do the next steps, which is implementing and taking action and being coachable to hear an alternative way of doing something. You know, if someone comes to me and tells me what their problem is and then tells me how they're going to solve it and just keeps telling me what to do and they're not open to listening to alternative ways to solve the issue, then I'm like, what do you need me for? If you already know that thing, and if you already know that thing and you know it's not working, then maybe you're the problem, right? And so we got to figure this out. So when I see people doing that, I'm like, well, I can't help you if you're not being open to being coachable to be helped. You got to be willing to work on the belief so that you can get a different result, because doing the same thing over and over again is called insanity and you're not going to get the same result. For me personally, I have to become coachable. So, allowing myself to receive mentorship, receive support, being open to hearing things that I didn't see or I couldn't, envision. And this was a game changer for me because I allowed myself to reach out and say, hey, I actually need help. And then being open to receiving support. A lot of the times people feel like it's weak if you do that and you're vulnerable, and asking for help is the wrong thing to do. And I see so many people trying to do everything in their business and it doesn't work. So really, really, really important to do this. And, I have a mentor that says if we can get 100 more of Shamina, because I was so coachable, I did exactly what they told me to do. And I implemented it and I had ridiculous results, hence the $1 million. Number 2, cultivate your money mindset. I've met many successful people at different networking events, at different masterminds. And you know what kills me is that I'll see people that are making a ton of money and yet they still have a broke mentality. And I don't even like using that word, but they still fear money. They still worry money's going away. They're not, flying first class. They're not allowing themselves to enjoy and use money. And I know people are like, well, flying first class is how they're rich. No, because I'm rich and I have a lot of money and I'm flying first class. But let me tell you something, I'm enjoying my money. And this is something that people can't do. Even though they've made the money, they think having the money is going to shift their mindset around money. But I've seen them over and over again have this scarcity, because money doesn't inherently change you, right? It doesn't fix your money mindset. You've got to work on it. So, when I see them sitting squeezed in between coach so they can save their $100 or whatever it is and be uncomfortable and fly at 5 a.m. or take Spirit, and do these things to themselves, they really haven't cultivated a wealthy way of thinking. And that's not to say having a frugal mindset is a bad thing, but, having a frugal mindset and not being able to spend it on candles or, things that make you happy or whatever it is that brings you joy, that to me is showing you that your money has control over you and not you having control over your money. And so it just perpetuates this fear and guilt cycle of buying something you like and then feeling guilty about it. And what happens is that I've seen with people who don't have an expanded money mindset is that they'll make money, but then all of a sudden they'll have a team members leave or a slew of team members leave, or they'll all of a sudden, an event will go sideways and they might have to file bankruptcy. They'll lose a lot of money in an experience, and they'll have this in and out, up and down situation with money because they have this fear around it. So they create the fear. Because imagine if you were so afraid to buy a first class ticket and you have the money, right? You have the money and you fear the spending of the extra $100 or $200, whatever it is. And you don't allow yourself to have that enjoyment because why waste money on that? To me, you have not really expanded into what it feels like to have the wealth. Because having a bunch of money stacked up in your bank account or wherever else, is not how I would define what wealth is, right? And I mean, everybody has their own subjective views on it, but imagine if you desire to have a lot of money and you desire to live a lifestyle that has, more opportunities and things, then this is what you need to do, right? You have to rewire and let go of the reins when it comes to how you are spending and looking at money, and not from a guilt standpoint. I've seen people who have like big investment deals that go tank, because they have this scarcity mindset, even though they're making a lot of money, or they're driving a broken down car. Like, why don't you just get a new car? What are you afraid no more money's coming in? Because that's literally what you're telling the universe, or they try to do everything themselves in their business and not hire another person. I'm like, where does that make any sense? Like, you need to hire somebody, because I could do it myself. And you know what? It's cheaper that way. You were not meant to do that. Like, why are you doing that? Right? So by expanding your money mindset, you actually expand your wealth consciousness to higher levels, where you're no longer having this guilt, shame on the lower spectrum when it comes to money. You're expanded into, like, I know more is coming. I can if I want to go do that, I can decide. If I want to take Uber Black, I will. I don't have to live in that scarcity. And a lot of times that scarcity mindset comes from their upbringing, comes from being raised, comes from what your parents told you. And sometimes it comes from, the trauma and all those other things that we talked about on this channel. This is why it's not real, right? It's just something that we've just been thinking about. So if we expand into it, we expand more consciousness, we expand more wealth, we have a different frequency when it comes to money in our lives. So you assign meaning to money. So whatever your parents told you, right? Whatever your mom told you, your dad, experiences, what you've had all over the years, that's where you see the world through. Now, imagine if we cleared that away and you had this clear vision about money. This is what wealth consciousness is. It's expanding you into the more. That you don't have to stay in the limits of what you were told money was supposed to be and how you're supposed to fear it. It could get wasted and all the things that you were told about it, right? And this changed for me when I started investing in myself, because I also felt like, well, oh my gosh, I'm going to spend all this money. It's going to go away forever. And then what's going to happen to me, right? I was going through that. But then when I made this big investment this first time when I started my business, it was like, gosh, that wasn't so bad. Why did I fear this so much? And then I realized, and I more and more invested in myself, the more and more money I made, because I was growing at rapid rates. I was finding people who knew how to do things faster than me. And so I would quantum leap. I was breaking through barriers, belief systems. And so the money just kept coming faster and faster to me. I stopped looking at it like I was just, giving it away. It was lost forever. It was an exchange of information, of things. So it was like an investment. I looked at it as like tuition for school. I was getting something back in return from the information that I was investing in. Totally different click in my head. Even though I was putting stuff on credit cards, it still was the same thing. And the interest rate was cheaper than, what they charge you when you leave school. Number 3, implement habitual daily money moves. Instead of fearing money, we have to allow it to become our best friends. We need to think about it as a relationship, having a relationship with money. Something we value, not something we fear. Not something we're like, well, if I had money and damn, my money did this, and where did my money go? And my money, do I have enough money? Can I do this? Like, letting that control be there. Instead, we start looking at it from a different relationship. I remember like years ago, there was like this filter on Snapchat. I'm not even big on Snapchat, but it had money raining on me. And I remember, this is before I started making a lot of money. I made a little reel and I put it on it's on my Facebook somewhere. And I said, money is my boo. And I just kept like letting money rain on me. I'm like, I love money and money loves me. I would say that from the beginning because I knew I had to change the trajectory of how I was looking at money and not let it be something that was so bad and taboo and had all this control over me. So start thinking about your relationship with money and how you can improve it. And remember, when we're good to something, it comes back to us. But if we treat it like crap and we're not good to it, well, how do you expect this exchange to work, right? So it's a couple of things that I love doing on a daily basis that I started years ago and you can start implementing right now is I started looking at my bank account every day, sometimes a couple times a day. And I know some of you are like, I don't want to look at that account. It's really bad. I'd rather not look at it. I'd rather not see it. I don't want to look. I was there. Okay. I was there. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to look at it anyways. Because I don't want to fear this account, even if it's in the red or even if it's like zeroed or whatever it was looking at. I'm going to look at it because I'm going to start getting out of the fear that bank account would drive inside my nervous system. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to have control over the situation. One of these days, I'm going to look at this account and I'm like, bam, look at this money in here, right? So I'm going to start now looking at this account and not having that feeling of like, what's going on? What's going on? Why there's no money in there, right? And so another thing I started doing is like bringing money around to me. I put it in my wallet. That way I'd be the reminder that, you know what, you do have money. There is money here. Instead of like, oh, I don't have any money. There's money. There's no money. Yeah, you have it. It's right here. Stop feeling like that. You want to get into that abundance frequency of feeling more into like, hey, I do actually have money. And, a couple of things that I think is really good is that when we, celebrate money and when we have this like feeling of like, oh, there's money here, there's money there, we stop, like, when you're a kid, you would find money in the cushion of the couch because your dad would sit there or something, the money would come out. You thought you were rich. Like, that's kind of like the same feeling of like, when you find money that's like unfound money, or you want that feeling to be there. So maybe just put money in different parts of your house. So when you see it, you're like, oh, look, there's money there. There's money here. Also, another thing that I think you should do is that, I did this. I started doing this. I did this when I was high school too. I didn't go below a certain amount in my bank account. Now, I stopped doing that after high school, but I remember going there and be like, I'm not going to go below this amount. And then things changed. But I started going back to that again now, where my account never went below a certain amount in the last, 4 or 5 years. I have not dipped below that money amount. And there was a time when my account was overdrawn and overdrafted. And, we're not going to talk about that right now, but it did happen. And so I'm like, I don't ever want to be in this place where I don't ever feel like I have money, because there is a feeling of safety of having some, right? And you don't always want it to come from the seeing of the money, but it gives you like okay, I can take care of my bills. I can get some, eggs and stuff. I've got the money there. So maybe you have a certain amount that you start with, that your account, you never dip below it. So, and then you start incrementally increasing that. Maybe you start $500, then it goes to 1,000, then it goes to like 1,500, 5,000, 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 to 100,000 to a couple $100,000. That's what I did. $500,000. And then you start going to this place where like, my money's not going to dip below this, because I won't always feel like this is where the cash is and I'm good to go. So try implementing that, and people say, well, I don't have extra money. You do. So find it and then, start putting it there. Now, what it's going to do is it's going to change the feeling about money. It's going to start making you feel safe about it, right? So that's going to start shifting your money mindset. And then what's going to happen is your awareness around money is going to also expand. So try that tip. It's going to really be a game changer for you. Now, the thing that really was pinnacle in all of this was journaling. My journaling methods are killer. Everybody who comes in my programs, I teach them how to journal. And if you want to get my journaling program, I'll put the link below. You should grab it. It will be a game changer for you, because I teach you how to journal yourself rich, how to work through the money blocks. And anybody says they don't have money blocks, listen, they think it's something else. And I'll show you how it's the beliefs about money, but it's also the relationship that you have with money, which is usually about something else. But it's also about teaching you how to move through those blocks, and so that you can get to that next level. And you can start using your pen and paper to I'm going to write down all the things that I want to create, right? And having that pen that becomes your magic wand, where you're like putting the mountains down, writing them down. This is going to be the thing that gets you to the place that you really want to go, where those riches are. And you'll get into a daily habit of being in abundance, more so than the lack. And it's going to change the way that you look at money. I wrote down that I was going to be a millionaire an X number of times. I said it on a video. There's things that you just don't realize that when you put them in a declaration, even on paper, it changes the outcome of what's going to happen. And you also have to get rid of the resistance around it, right? When we clear up blocks, the things that we want come in way faster to us. Now, if you want to do this in real time, you need to join us in Chicago on October 25th and 26th. We're having a 2-day event. And usually this is like 3 times the amount, maybe more actually. And you're going to get this for the most nominal price right now. The early bird is ending soon. So go grab yourself a ticket, find yourself to Chicago, be in the room so that you can quantum leap into your future level of what your wealth consciousness can be. Also, so that you can have those results, making it, and then I made $1 million in 10 months. And let me tell you, and then I made it shorter time. And the faster that you can make it, because money loves speed, the quicker it'll come. Also, if you have not grabbed my book, Unlocking the Quantum Woman, go grab this. Even if you're a man, this book will change your life. Go look at our reviews on Amazon. It's a game changer. Get that book. And go check out Unapologetically Rich, my podcast. You'll love it. And come connect with us in the Quantum Woman group on Facebook. You'll love it. And email my team at support@shaminataylor.com if you're interested in any of our programs. You never know. you too can be making that investment in yourself. And then you'll turn around and be like, damn, I made this investment because I saw this lady on YouTube and look what happened to me now. So, all right, stay tuned for the next video. Bye for now.